Hello everybody and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to cover the real secret of Ben Hogan's golf swing. I know this channel is called No More Secrets Ben Hogan, but guys, this is going to get into the real secret of what Mr. Hogan was doing. Before we dive into the content, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bells, all that stuff. And if you really like this video, which I absolutely guaranteeing you are going to, please do those things because it helps me with the channel, it helps it grow, and it allows me to let you know when my new videos are released, okay? So let's get into it. Basically, everybody says, oh, Hogan's got a secret, and it's this and that. Well, I've got news for you. It was a multitude of different things that he was doing that allowed everything to come together. Some people are going to say, oh, Hogan's secret was when he had the idea to roll the baseball bat open, if you will. Or some people say, his secret was this lateral movement or running his knee at the ball or all these things. And you've heard me talk about several of these things on this channel. But see, when we grew up, we all learned 5 questions. Who, what, where, when, and how. Or, who, what, where, when, and why. Excuse me. So who, what, where, when, and why. The questions that we have to start asking are why and how. Why did Mr. Hogan roll his wrist? Why did he spiral the forearm? Why did all these things happen? And then once we understand why, then we can understand the how, okay? So a lot of people don't understand. I'm going to explain this as quickly as possible so that we can get into understanding the how. Right now, I'm going to tell you the why, okay? So when you can look at this, what I want you to do, you've heard me talk about the carrying angles in the human body. What that means is if you do this to your arms, go from this position to this position, you can naturally see that my body is in a carrying angle. If I was picking up a bucket, if I was doing a bicep curl, these are the natural power angles of the human body, okay? You guys have heard me talk about you've got to spiral the left wrist, or you got to spiral the left forearm. We're going to cover that, okay, in great detail. But what you have to understand, if these are the power angles of the human body, this is what Mr. Hogan was doing. Whether people realize it or not, this is what was happening. What do I mean by that? When I get set up like this and I'm in posture, let's pretend I have a golf club in my hand because we're going to get one here in a little bit, but let's pretend I've got a golf club in my hand. As this arm starts to spiral in the backswing, this arm is, once it's spiraled, look what it is. It's in the carrying position that I just told us about, right? So now all of a sudden, it's spiraling and going to the top. But everybody thinks this cup position is a no-no. And let me tell you something. If I rotate my arm, this cup position happens naturally. This is a natural response to the spiraling of the left arm. Well, if the spiraling of the left arm is putting me into the carrying position of the right arm, they are opposing forces, if you will, then I just go to the top. Now, when I'm coming down, guess what has to happen? The right arm has to spiral so that it can move the left arm into the carrying position that it has to be. That's all Mr. Hogan was doing. The secret to his rotation is if I spiral the left arm as I'm rotating the body, if you could think about the concentric circles that Mr. Hogan talked about, we're able to see as this left arm is spiraling, it's following the rotation of the body. That's why it gets here. That's why everybody, oh my God, that's really short. It's underneath the pane of glass. Of course it is. Because if it is spiraling, I can't lift it vertically, number one. So now that we understand that, what are we really doing? Think of a 400-yard relay. The guy's running, he's got the baton, he's running and he's handing it off to the other person, right? So that person's like this. And then all of a sudden he's waiting to grab it. He grabs it and then boom, takes off. That's the 400 relay. or any relay in any running motion. So when you can understand, what are you really doing? I'm handing the baton that they would be in the relay. You are handing it to the power angle of the right arm. Then it's rotating up. Then when it comes down, because you guys have heard me talk about the release, which we'll cover in this as well. Now from this point, how would I hand the baton to the left power angle or the lead side power angle? That's how I would do it. I wouldn't go like this because I'd miss it. I wouldn't come underneath because I miss it. I wouldn't come over the top because I miss it. I would have to spiral to get them to come together. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, now let's look at this a different way for a second. And I mean, really understand what's going on. What I want you to do is I want you to get a golf club like this. Put it right here. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to spiral this left arm like this. So the spiral of the left arm is going like this. That's what it's doing, just like this. So all of a sudden, and see how it's rotating around the two bones that are in the forearm. So it's rotating. And because of the two bones that are in the forearm, I can do this. It's not like I'm turning a steering wheel. It is I am truly rotating the forearm. And we're going to get into how to do that properly as well. So what I want you to do is put the club straight up in front of you, and all I want you to do is rotate it like this. And then if I come down and I move this club here, what am I at? I'm in the power angle of the human body. So what happens as the lead side is spiraling, the right arm is becoming supportive of the power angle of the human body. And watch what happens. I can spiral this as much as I want. Now, this is an exaggeration. That's why the club head is dumped down right now. But if I go here and I spiral, okay? And then when I've done that, what you'll notice is the right arm hasn't spiraled like this. It doesn't happen. When you spiral the left hand and the left forearm, it puts the right arm to where it's in this position. Okay, and everybody's seen some of the videos online, which again, this is something a little bit different, but you see these guys, kind of bonus material right now, you see these guys and they tell you, oh, get your arms out like this, put them together. Make sure you feel like you're giving blood at this point. This giving blood at this point is the wrong point in time to give blood, if you want to think about it like that. But everybody's going to say, do this, okay, and give blood and have that turned in like this so you can give the blood. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that's the wrong time to give blood. It absolutely is. Watch this. Because we're set up in the right arm structure without turning this stuff in, as I've spiraled to the top, and then I unfold this arm, and then I move it back to you, this is the right time to give blood, at the top of the backswing, where it's the most important. But if I have my arm giving in this giving blood position to start with, and I come up and I get to the top and I go to give blood, I'm giving it to somebody over here instead of where you can naturally draw it from my arm. So when you can understand, the spirals are so important here, because we're not setting up like this. This was a feeling that Mr. Hogan had. But if I go like this and I get these arms in front of me and come like this, my elbows are now pointing back into me. But if I get my arms out here, like we've learned, press the pecs in, right? You're putting pressure here. Now when I do this, my elbows are pointing right to both of my, hip sockets, if you will, underneath the pelvis. So all of a sudden, yeah, do I feel this type of connection with my body? Of course I do, but it's pressurized like this. So now all of a sudden, the spiral is here. It starts to spiral this way. It locks my arm into the power angle of the human body. Then as I come up and start coming down, it's still locked at this point. It hasn't spiraled, or a better way to say this, not picking on Mr. Cohen, but he's wrong. He's absolutely wrong, okay? We've all seen Peter Cohen talk about, you've got to spin this arm down in the downswing, okay? So watch this. The way the golf swing is taught to the masses. I shouldn't say Mr. Cowan's wrong. He's wrong, absolutely left field wrong in what Mr. Hogan was doing, period. End of the story. Because when they get set here, they take this arm, they get to the top, and then what he's telling you is spin this arm down. So they get here, and he's like, spin this arm down, okay? And what this creates, when I'm here and I spin this right arm down, everybody would say, wow, that's a really good impact. Okay, but watch what happens. When I spin this arm down, look at this action of my lower body. Watch what happens. I'm spinning it down. See the lateral? I'm spinning it down. So then I get to impact and I look like this. Then I'm kind of really, you want to see what I look like at impact? I look like this. There's nothing rotated. There's nothing going on. Or it looks like this. And heck, most guys that get back and they spiral this arm down, you see how you can only see one of my butt cheeks right here, just the trail side, because this is promoting this lateral movement, this arm swinging swing. This is not what Mr. Hogan was doing. This is so far in left field that is mind-boggling to me why people don't pay attention to it. I told you at the beginning of this video is about the true ultimate secret that nobody understands. If I get here and I spiral the left, the only reason I'm spiraling the left is not to get the cup. It is not to do anything except for pass the energy to the power angle of the trail side. Then the more I keep going, because it's locked at this position, so now when I come down, look at this. I still have the spiral maintained because I have a cup. So then all of a sudden, right at this point, on the outside of the trail leg, when I'm going to release it, I am just going like that, and I spiral the right arm to get into the left side of the power angle of the human body. Now, when you take these two, spiral with the lead arm and the downswing and through the ball impact, spiral with the right arm, you have now tied in a spiral on both sides that goes into the rotational aspect of the body. And because if you can think about the concentric circles that Mr. Hogan talked about, they're working from the inside out, not the outside in. So now all of a sudden, when I've spiraled the arm and I got this power angle all day long, now I go to the top, here I come down, look at the action in my body. I am not getting here, there's my rebalance. Look at this, I'm not going here, recenter, and then jumping in front of the ball. I'm not getting here, recenter, laterally move in front of the ball, because none of that will make sense. None of it. But when you can understand, hey, if I had to move inside of concentric circles, that would be one circle here, one circle further this way, another. So they would just be this circles upon circles moving outward and inward. So if I had to move on this circle, this is all I would do. There's no, let me move laterally, let me go into early extension, let me stand up, let me jump, let me do all this hocus pocus garbage that everybody is trying to teach us online right now. Now, it's not their fault. It's really not. Most of the instructors online are teaching you stuff that they have learned from another human being so that they could just go ahead and give this information to you. So they're passing it down. But nobody's looked at the math. Nobody's looked at the geometry. Nobody's tried to understand this thing at the highest level humanly possible, except for us on this channel. And that's what makes this channel very, very special. So please, please, please understand, if you want to get the best potential to be able to do what Mr. Hogan was doing, we have to ask ourselves the question of why. Why was he doing this? He was spiraling to get into the power angles of the human body. He was spiraling to maintain the power angle of the human body on the lead side. That's all it is, guys. So when you can move into the power angle correctly and then release with the power angle correctly, what you'll start to realize is the release is not this. The release is not this. The release is actually this. This is the release in the golf swing. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, Chris, wait a minute. How is that possible? The forearms are rolling over each other. Let me show you something. The forearms, when I release the way I'm telling you, look at that. They haven't, they're not touching. They've never rolled over each other, but the release is spiral. Look at that. I stand up. They're not touching each other. The club is right in the middle of it. They're not like this. It's just spiraled. They're not touching. And then I am going to come to the top every single time. These things, I get very passionate about this stuff, guys, because, you know, I watch all the same videos on YouTube. I do all the stuff that you guys do. Why not? I mean, this is my industry. I look around to see what everybody's telling us. Now, in the modern swing, where Mr. Goen's talking about spinning this arm down, how is that possible? I mean, honest to goodness, think about that statement. If I get up to the top where this arm hasn't spun, so it's going like this to get to the top, the way a modern swing is taught, now I need to spin it down to get the club to go from here, spin it down, everything's getting back in front of my body, spin it down, there's no lower body movement. So everybody gets into, which I've shown on a couple of previous videos, where all the guys online, their impact looks exactly like what they were at address from the down the line view. This is so important. It's not just the spiraling of one side. It's I spiraled it on the to get to the trail side. Now I have to spiral it to get to the lead side. The ultimate truth about what Mr. Hogan was really doing and how you can apply it to your swing. Because again, let's look at this fact. A lot of people say, I've got to get this flat wrist at the top, okay? And then a lot of people are like, I've got to have a bowed wrist at the top. But everybody in the modern swing will tell you getting that position at the top is a dead no. An absolute no for the golf swing. Because the club will come so far behind them, they won't know what to do, and you just get lost in space. But the reality is, if you're doing what Mr. Hogan was doing, you've got to get this club to work around you. You never get the club to work up. Everybody thinks, oh, Mr. Hogan lifted his hands at the top. No, he did not. He stayed underneath the plane all the time and was able to make these concentric circles work by truly understanding why. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to spiral? To get to the right arm power angle. Why do I have to spiral in the downswing? To get to here. So not only have we answered the question of why is he doing it, I am showing you how you need to do it. And watch what happens to me. The second I spiral, look how my body is responding to this. I'm coming down. I haven't done anything. This right arm power angle is maintained to about right here, and then it spirals. Look what just happened to my rotation. I did not physically have to think about this, but I understand the spiraling of the trail arm. I understand the spiraling of the lead arm. Heck, it helps me with my rotation. All right, guys, hope it's going to help you. We'll look for you in the next video.